Hello, everybody, and welcome to another live stream here at Behance on Adobe Live. Today, we're joined by Monica. Monica, welcome to Adobe Live.
Hello, a pleasure being here, and thank you for having me.
Oh, it's so good to have you. And Monica, you are in really good company today. We have a great stream planned for you, everybody. We are going to be looking at some character design. Monica is an amazing illustrator. And so we're going to get into some character design, some drawing, lots of color. I can see lots of people in the chat already discussing what we're going to be covering today. So quick shout out to everybody there. Hey, Gareth, hey, Sandrine, I can see Jackie there, Stuart. Lots of people in the chat today. So really great to have all of you here as company with us. And of course, it's the start of the week. It's Monday. And I don't know about you, but I'm bored of the rain. We've had rain for 4 days, maybe 5 days. I'm a little over the rain right now. And if you do see me winking at you a little bit today, it's because I've got a bit of hay fever going on. My eyes are watering. So if you see any strange behavior, I can assure you it's just a bit of hay fever. Monica, how are you doing today up in Edinburgh? How are you doing?
I'm doing well. We had like 1 day of sun, so I totally understand you and I totally get your like high fever. I feel like my face also something is happening here because my face yesterday, I had to scratch, something happened, like high fever. And I was like, oh my God, how am I going to survive this? But everything is fine now.
It's going on, isn't it? It's this time of year. And I keep getting time hops, right? The pictures that show me this time last year when we had this glorious sunshine. And I'm just looking out the window at just all of the rain, thinking, what happened?
Yeah, absolutely.
But yes, today we are going to be in Illustrator, everybody. And if you've got an iPad and you want to draw along with us, definitely do that. I know that the 36 Days of Type challenge finished, I think it was last week, and all of you did some amazing work. So I've really enjoyed seeing all of your work, everybody, in the chat and obviously through Instagram and everything. And Monica will be sharing her Instagram handle and some of her work. Should we just jump straight in, Monica, and show everybody a little bit about you and what it is you do?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm an illustrator and a designer, also character designer. I really love to draw people, especially women, as you can see. I'm based currently in windy Scotland, to be precise, in Edinburgh, but I'm originally from Poland, although I spent most of my adult life traveling. So I'm kind of like a gypsy spirit, I would say. So I lived in Japan, in Spain, in Southeast Asia, mostly in Vietnam. So I've been going back and forth, and now I'm in Scotland, and I've spent my lockdown as well in Scotland. So yes, it's kind of, I felt the same. There was like lots of sun, perfect weather, and you cannot get out. Yay.
Oh, I know. And where's your favorite place, Monica? Like you said, you've been around, a lot of places. Favorite place?
I think from the places that I've been so far and I live there, I really miss Tokyo for this kind of vibe, like being like unfamiliar with everything and being surprised by everything or every single day. And it was amazing experience. Another place that I really, really love is Porto in Portugal. So I would recommend both of those places to visit.
Oh, I love Tokyo. And I'll tell you something really funny that happened to me. I went to Tokyo to deliver some training once, and I had a translator. And if anyone knows me from the streams, I get very excitable, especially when I'm passionate about things I'm talking about. I speak quite quickly. And so I had to speak and tell everybody about this training. So I was saying, we have this coming up and blah, 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 blah. And I had to pause and wait for the translator to translate everything I'd said. And then I would wait for the reaction of everybody, and they'd say yay, and then I'd carry on, and it was like this for a week, and it was the most fun. What a place. Hey, what a place. So funny. But it's so good to share your work here, Monica. You really do capture so much in these drawings and these illustrations. And what's your favorite thing to do? Because you've got a really good style. You can see that this is your style.
So I started basically, I started drawing, like in the past, I would never ever draw any people at all whatsoever. I would draw like nature or animals. When I was a kid, I think it's like a really cliche story. Where, when I was a kid, I would draw a lot. But like with me, it was like I stopped and I completely stopped drawing. And I think I went back to that around my university. When I was studying absolutely something different. And then I picked up my camera and I started kind of taking photos. So I kind of went back to creative industry by photography, through photography. And it was a really useful tool for me when I was in Japan. But when I moved to Vietnam, I lived in Ho Chi Minh City, and it was madness. So it was difficult, there were too many things happening. So I would have to kind of try to digest the whole situation happening and everything around me. And this was the moment when I started basically drawing. And what I really love is color. And because I've started like drawing more and more, and I was practicing more and more, I kind of found, if I may say so, like my kind of style. And for me, I really love geometric shapes, and I try to create interesting compositions and illustrators using female figures and shapes and convey a story. So I would say that it is very often connected with like really bold shapes and really bold colors, and using kind of like, I love female figure because it has those curves. So it's like a great juxtaposition with that. So this is another thing that we're going to do today. I wanted to create something that we can start and finish within our session, so within 1 hour. So I do have a sketch, and we're going to do something simple, yet hopefully powerful and bold and really colorful.
Love it. Sounds good. Sounds good. And where do you get your inspiration from then? Because you mentioned that you traveled a lot, and since lockdown, you've been in Edinburgh. So are there artists that you look up to, that you follow, or where's that inspiration coming from?
So I think I have like top 3 illustrators of all time, like modern contemporary illustrator. So one of them is Owen Davey, British illustrator. He's absolutely amazing. He's also kind of on the way of simplifying images, because I think many people see illustration or drawing as something that it's really difficult, but it's just like, at the end of the day, there are just shapes. So you can also learn to draw, and you can also, like, by practicing and doing it more and more, you can kind of find your style and start drawing. And this is what I think that Owen Davey does well. He can also use colors in a really amazing way, and simplifying objects, people. And so he finds the way to beautifully convey a story. Another person is Petra Eriksson. Probably you've heard about her, or like definitely you've seen her images. I think one of her last commissions was like for the Oscars. She drew like the Oscar figure, really, really beautiful color. And I think I'm kind of drawn to something that I do myself. So like bold images, very colorful. And a person who does something absolutely different is Lisk Feng. So she's a Chinese illustrator, I believe so, based in the United States. And her illustrations are absolutely lovely. They remind me kind of like, childhood memories. They give you this feeling of something familiar, something that when you look through the old photos, or your own old photos, or your children, or like your parents, you kind of see this feeling, something beautiful.
I love that. And Laura in the chat has really kindly started sharing links on Instagram to the artists that you mentioned that inspire you. So all of you can see those in the chat. And if any of you have questions for Monica today, we're chatting in Behance. So behance.net/live. Get your questions in there for Monica as we go. And any questions on technique. This is why these streams are so good, because we're all learning from other artists. And today we're learning from you, Monica. And your style is so good. I really can't wait to jump into Illustrator and see how you begin.
Okay, should we start?
Yeah, let's jump in.
Okay,
Definitely.
so I prepared a sketch, like actually a couple of sketches. So this is kind of a way how I work. I usually draw something on a piece of paper with pen or pencil. Like you don't really need something really fancy to start drawing. So I actually created a couple of sketches, but I think I'm gonna go. What I've drawn the most is basically this one. Oops. Yeah, I have to lock it so it will not move around. So I'm gonna work on this one. Why I want to work on this one is because it looks quite simple, but I added those shadings on her face and on her neck. So we're gonna play with colors and we're gonna play with shapes again.
Love it.
So first of all, what I'm gonna do, the size of the artboard is Instagram size. So after the stream, I can basically share it on my Instagram. So okay, unlock it again.
Always good to start that way. And do you always sketch on paper? I know Laura's asked in the chat today, do you sometimes start directly, drawing on the iPad via something like Fresco, for example?
So sometimes when I have like really specific idea, I would start drawing on iPad. But most of the time, I think it works better for me if I just I have like lots of kind of ideas and I try them out drawing on paper, and I can play around with composition. I can tweak it. I can trace it over and see what is working, what is not. Of course, I can do it on iPad. Like iPad is amazing in this way. But I feel like it gives me, like I've noticed, like because we have phones and computers, I'm losing like this way of like writing or like even making like a really weird mistakes when I draw when I write. So I think that is like a good idea of like not losing the skill of drawing on paper, and it's also good for me not to stare on the screen all day long.
I love that. You can't beat a good sketchbook. I really do think. I mean, I love it. I love the smell of a new sketchbook as well. Is that weird?
Yeah, it is.
I don't know if anyone else is with me on that. But,
I'm also like kind of, I have an issue with like, if I have a new sketchbook, I love it, but I'm terrified like to start drawing on it because the first page has to be perfect.
Totally agree with you. I completely agree. I don't actually draw on the first page ever, actually. No? I fold mine over and I always go, I'm trying to look for my book now. It's around here somewhere. But yeah, no, I'm always second page in. Yeah. And I've still got the same one going, actually. I've had for the last year or so, but no. First page, it's pressure. First page.
Do you always like go back to your drawings, or like do you always check your sketches and just check it out?
Yeah, definitely. 100%. I can see the way that I draw animals has definitely changed a lot over the last year or so. Yeah. I think that's because, I don't know if it's maybe helped getting, obviously a lot of you know I've got Elvis, little puppy. Well, he's 11 months now, not so little. But yeah, maybe it helps having him in the house for me to draw. I've drawn him a lot. So yeah, maybe it does help. Hey, Laura's got a question for you, Monica. She says, where does Monsie plan to go next after the pandemic? Question.
Like my top 3 places I would love to go is South America. I lived in the past in Spain, so my Spanish was much better. Now it's quite rusty, so I practice with Duolingo, which is a disaster. Like sometimes I'm, like having this really strange sentences to translate, like my horse collections shoes or something, and I'm like, I don't think I'm going to use this sentence ever, but I think it's helpful in the way that I still listen to Spanish, and even though I create like really bizarre sentences, I'm still in touch with the language. So like South America, I would love to go to Argentina, and like in general South America and New Zealand. Have you been to New Zealand?
I have been to New Zealand and I love New Zealand. It really feels like Wales. I'm in Wales now. It felt like I was in Wales, and I did the North Island and the South Island. And yeah, I mean, I think there's like 7 different ecosystems in New Zealand as a country. So there's so much. You've got the jungle, you've got the glaciers, you've got, and I spent a lot of the time on the beaches in Akaroa. It's just beautiful. So,
but I guess it's not the same in terms of weather.
No, not as rainy and wet over here at the moment. That's for sure. But yeah, what a good place. But yeah, what good, ideas. Yeah, South America, New Zealand. Nice. Yeah, good countries to go to.
So what actually I'm doing right now is, as you see, again, I'm assembling shapes. So I'm starting with the shapes that are, or like parts of the illustration that are the most in the back. Actually, I should start with hair. Now I realize that. So that would be the next thing. But I've noticed that a lot of illustrators, they kind of create, they put their sketch and they lower the opacity, and then kind of they draw whatever they need, they draw underneath. I do it opposite the way. I have no idea why. I just do it this way, and I feel it works better for me. So just please do whatever works better for you. We are kind of all different, and different things work better for different people. So if you see that I'm doing something strange, just feel free to ask a question. Why am I doing this? Maybe I will be able to answer, maybe not, but I will try to. I'm now following my sketch.
And I think we've got Steve is joining us. Steve, where are you in New Zealand? Are you in New Zealand right now? Steve's joined our stream today. In the chat, and I think someone said if you say Steve 3 times, he'll show up. He said hello straight away. I think he's in from New Zealand. He's in Wellington, south of the North Island. Amazing.
Would you recommend going?
I would. Wellington reminded me of San Francisco because it's quite stacked up. I just remember Steve could probably describe it a little better in the chat for us today, but great country. Hey. Absolutely.
Did you like San Francisco?
Love San Francisco. Yeah. Oh, same. Definitely. Yeah. It's lovely to travel, isn't it? Yeah.
I think this is the thing that I miss the most. That I could travel quite a lot, and I could just, purchase a ticket. If you live in Europe, it's so easy to travel. Not anymore. But this is the thing that I miss the most. So what I'm going to do here, because I want to get her hair more or less similar, and to get it geometrical, like what we could do, we could, for instance, like use circles, like to create those, I don't know, bands or like parts of her hair. We could also use Illustrator on iPad. Has this awesome tool. I'm going to show you. So let's say we draw a shape. Maybe I'm just gonna make it. So if I would wanted it exactly the same, I could mirror it. So Illustrator has this awesome tool that allows you to mirror your drawing. So whatever you do with this, you can tweak your design as you want. But I prefer to do it a bit differently. So in the past, I would use quite a lot pen tool. I don't know, are you a pen tool team or are you a pencil team? Do you prefer, do you have like any?
That is a good question. Yeah, pencil for me, I think. But yeah, pencil. Are you using different layers for each of these, or are you stacking them all up on the same layer?
So the reason why I love Illustrator so much is the fact that I can treat it as my own desk. So I can be like super messy and I can play around with things. So for instance, if I create something for motion design, I would have the layers, I would name them, I would have them like properly. But if I draw something for myself, or if I draw something for a client that really just needs JPEG at the end of the day, I don't really use layers. I know it's bad. But I just like really treat it as my desk, so I have like different pieces that I can put together and play around with that. So if you check my layer, it's just basically one layer with paths. But yeah, you can do it like whatever works better for you.
That's the thing, though. I think one of the things we learn on the streams is that it's so good seeing our artists and our creatives at work, because it's all down to preference and the way that they have found an easy way to do things and the way that they work. And it's good to see other people work. You know, we've got a lot of people. Oh,
yes.
sorry, you go.
First is what it made me like really laugh, and I really love the fact I spoke once with Owen Davey and I had the opportunity to talk with him. So I was like, oh my God, super cool. I love this illustrator. It's perfect time to, you know, share some kind of ideas and ask him questions. And he told me that he actually uses a mouse to draw.
Marbles?
Mouse. He uses a mouse.
Oh, a mouse.
So he draws with a mouse, and wow. It is just amazing. How can he do that? Because like even like using touchpad, it is kind of difficult.
Wow.
But another thing, this is something that kind of is part of his style, because his shapes are like really kind of perfect. So you have handlers moved and they absolutely super precise. So this is amazing that like every illustrator has kind of different ways of doing things.
Yes. And in the chat, actually, there's a few people saying about Apple Pencil on the iPad. Laura says pencil tool team. Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm going to do here, I'm going to copy it and slide over here. So as you can see, it is more or less, I'm going to fix it again to have it more. It's just the fact that I want to have it symmetrical, but also with this maybe a touch of hand-drawn feeling. I don't know. Let's see how this works.
And I love the fact that all of your work, Monica, looks, you follow the same color palette. Like you can tell that it's your work completely. Definitely with the style, but with the colors as well. Do you vary, the colors and the palette that you use, or do you really stick to that same makeup of, those, say, 5 colors, for example?
So I tend to use similar color palette, but it really depends on the project, to be honest. Sometimes if there is a project, like client has their own color palette, so I will not try to sell my own color palette just because I work like this. I'm trying to expand it, but maybe use similar colors with different tone or different hue. So it really depends. But I'm always open for experiments and seeing what's out there, because like kind of you never know. It's the same with inspiration. You never know what you will find. Okay, so this one I already know I have to send it to the background.
And then do you think, do you get hired a lot from the work that you post on Instagram, or like how do you find that you're working these days? Do you have a portfolio that you send, or Instagram?
So to be honest, it's differently. Sometimes people reach out to me through Behance. Sometimes it's they found my website, or sometimes they found me through Instagram. In the past, I would also email some people that I would love to work with. So there are like brands or companies or like newspapers that I really appreciate. So I would email them saying, hi, I exist. I wanted to share my work with you. If you feel that there's something we can work on together, please feel free to contact me. So sometimes people respond, sometimes they don't. But it is fine, because it doesn't matter if they respond to you right away. Like if there's an opportunity or commission to work together, this is what matters most.
I think it's good to be proactive. Just put yourself out there. Totally.
Yes, definitely.
This is taking shape already. It's great.
Yeah, so as you can see, maybe for now it looks really strange or bizarre, and it might not make sense at all. So it's if I turn the layers, like the fills out. What's going on? Okay, it's working. So it looks more or less like that. But you'll see at the end that it will look differently and it will make sense, I promise.
Oh, don't worry. It's all good. I love it. The big reveal, towards the end. And if you don't finish on the stream, don't worry. Post it later, tag us in it. It's always good to see it afterwards. If it's not finished on the stream, it's there's a lot to get in an hour, and sometimes this flies by. We've already been 24 minutes into the stream, and it feels like 5 minutes. Honestly,
yeah, definitely. And to be honest, I was thinking if I manage like the image is more or less simple, but it was like, okay, will I have enough time because of the drawing or maybe talking or answering questions. But yeah, so what I'm doing right now again is I'm using similar colors to her face and arms, so the skin. I'm going to use different colors, for instance, for the shading, just to have it later on to have it just play around with colors. So I did prepare the sketch, but I'm not really yet sure about about the color scheme. I'm going to probably use something similar. So we do have ear now. So as you can see, again, I'm just drawing shapes. So we have her head.
Nice. And we have our resident After Effects expert, Gareth, in the chat today. And he's asking, would you consider animating any of your sketches?
Yes, definitely. This is something I've started playing around with After Effects. I'm so bad. It's just like I kind of felt that, okay, if I know Adobe products, it must be easy, like to put it on After Effects and then play around. And I've noticed that things that it takes me, for instance, 5 or 1 second to do in Illustrator in After Effects, because I'm not familiar with it. It takes me ages.
Yeah, no, I know. It's hard, isn't it? It's investing the time to take up a new skill, to learn it. But then it's almost like you've got to slow down in order to speed up.
Yes.
So yeah, totally. There's been a couple of great streams that we've had with Tony and Tim, with some myths around After Effects and things. Really great streams to pick up tips and really just cool ways to use After Effects. Really.
Is there something that you would recommend?
Yeah, you could probably find these streams on YouTube still. If you type in Tim, pop it in the chat. The name of one of the After Effects streams that you and Tony ran. I can't remember the name of it right now. It was Tim Mystified, I think it could have been. But there's some great content out there completely on After Effects and picking up these skills. Really good.
Yeah, definitely. I would love to kind of give my characters life and to see what else I can do with them. Especially that I think my illustration is it shouldn't be that problematic for animating it.
Tim's put title Sequence Masterclass, and he's put the link in the chat. Thanks, Tim. That was so good. I mean, it's always fun as well when Tony and Tim get together. Right screen, that pair, really good fun. So you should definitely watch. There's that there. And then we've animated other characters as well through Adobe Photoshop. So Rachel Presky is great at designing characters, and she's animated some images of like coffee pouring into a cup, or a character with a wind, a scarf and the hair blowing in the wind. So we've done those as well. Lots of different ways to animate images. There's After Effects, but you can do it in Photoshop. Lots of different ways.
Have you tried animating?
Yes, I have. I've done a few actually. I've played with Character Animator a lot, and so I've done a lot of things in Character Animator, and then I did some in Photoshop following Rachel's live stream. I kind of drew along with Rachel and then animated a cape. I think it was for International Women's Day. A lot of us did that actually. I remember Jackie's specifically. She had a really good drawing. Jackie in the chat today. She had a really great one. So lots of ways to animate. I definitely get that in there. And if you've got any questions for Monica, everybody, we're halfway through the stream right now. Get your questions into Behance at Adobe Live, and any questions you have for Monica at all. I'm loving this, Monica. It's so good.
Thank you. Are you drawing with me or?
I'm not drawing today.
Okay.
No. And I know that so with past streams when I've drawn and shared my iPad under forfeits, I should add that we had a game show. There was a forfeit where I couldn't draw with any grayscale, so it was the brightest, colourful. And Sandrine, who's also in the chat today, put my awful design on a mug, which still makes me laugh to this day. Every time I think about it, I swear I laugh. Very funny. But yeah, we should do another stream like that again. Hey, Laura asks you a question here. Yeah. How many years of experience of drawing do you have? How many years have you been doing this?
So to be honest, I've been drawing as a kid quite a lot, and then I stopped and I dedicated myself to photography and then graphic design, and then I picked it up again. And to be honest, professionally, I've been drawing, I would say kind of like the point when I kind of consider I'm doing it professionally was a bit more than 2 years ago. But it was like the whole process of, finding my style, finding what really works for me. Yeah. So it's part of a process. So I did the way, for instance, like when I went back to my parents' place and they were moving out from old place, I found like my old drawings, and they were like super realistic and like one-to-one, like horses or something. And I was like, wow, it's really good, but I don't draw like that anymore. And I have no idea why, but I guess, I don't know, maybe we kind of grow older and we try to do some other stuff. Oops.
Would you consider kind of drawing those in your new style now, going back, or you're like, nope, no going back? Future's the...
Yeah, I was thinking of like redrawing some other, my old designs. Although I don't know, like for instance, like to be honest, like yesterday we watched Highlander, and it's kind of like the feeling that if you watch like those old movies that you watched when you were a kid, and like when you watch them as an older person, like when you're like 10 years or 20 years later, you feel it's like, oh my God, why I did like it, why I found it interesting. So I'm not saying Highlander is a bad movie. I'm just saying that I remembered it differently, and I was like, So I think something similar can happen with drawings. Although I don't know, maybe this is a good idea. Thank you. I will try later on, like working maybe on.
Oh, good. Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. You do see things differently, and then going back, sometimes it's not quite the same, is it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Sandrine says, I watched Highlander a bit ago and it didn't age well. The sound design is terrible.
And another thing is, I don't know if you know, but like Christopher Lambert, like the main character, like the Highlander, he has some kind of, he doesn't see well. So he was like shooting the movie without his glasses. So he basically didn't see anything. So you can see that he's watching in this, like he's looking at the camera and this like really weird kind of empty. And we were like laughing so bad yesterday about this, that, oh my God, this guy doesn't see a thing. And he's like still able like to fight people. So yeah, it looks maybe like a colorful mess. But let's try.
It looks so good. And hey, Gareth has given some good advice here. Fresh eyes come back to any work. I like that, Gareth. Nice. Oh,
yes.
Look at this now. See, this is so good. This has only been 30 minutes. Probably less than that, actually. This is so good.
So yeah, this is like why I have a sketch, because I would be just trying to figure stuff out. Where's the hair? Okay. Yeah. Okay. There she is.
I was surprised when you said that you've only considered doing this professionally for the last couple of years.
Really?
Yeah, you're very accomplished. Like this is amazing. I'm surprised that you've not been doing this for longer. You know, this is really good.
To be honest, it's like, for instance, the problem, like, and maybe not the problem with illustration, but the thing with illustration is that, like, for me, like, the really turning point was pandemic, when I was working on something else and I lost a job. So that was the moment when I was able to fully focus on illustration.
Yeah.
So it kind of works both ways.
Things happen for a reason.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. Lots of chat going on in the chat here about dodgy Scottish accents.
Oh yes, yes. It's still. I've been living here for something like 3 years, and sometimes still I'm like, I have no idea what they are saying to me. It's like, what? Sorry. And especially now wearing masks.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay. Now I know what happened.
So Monica, also, what tips would you give people then that are looking to start out and maybe change their career, you know? And as you said, the pandemic actually helped you to, you know, leave that old job and focus on this full time. What tips would you give other people getting into it?
Definitely, you have to be persistent with illustration. It's not something, for instance, like, even still, if I talk with my friends, or like if I talk with anyone and ask me like, what do I do? And I said, I'm an illustrator, and they give me like this bizarre look, and it's like, do you actually make money? Can you live off of it? And like, you really have to be persistent, because like, being self-employed, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. So you have to be persistent, believe in yourself, and try to get your work out there for people to see them. And it's also great that like Adobe has this community that you can share your ideas and share your work and be discovered, or like just exchange the knowledge. Maybe there's something that you can learn, or something that will give you idea to work on. Like, even the fact that I want to animate my illustrations, like, so thank you so much for giving me tips, like, where can I find different stuff. This is always very, very helpful.
This community is amazing. I mean, it's lovely. So we have a group, we chat in Discord following the streams, actually. So there is a link to the Discord that we can put in the chat today if any of you want to continue the conversation after the stream. But I completely agree with you that having the streams is really useful, because we get to see how creatives work, how artists work. It's good to see. And actually, we've got a really good week planned. I should share with you, everybody, that, you know, the week that we have. So today, of course, character design with the amazing Monica right in the middle of an image right now. Wednesday, we have an aero masterclass coming at you with Zuzi Better and Nadine Kolotsky, who is one of our creative residencies. And so if you're really keen to look at aero and how that kind of comes to life literally in the room, if any of you have seen that kind of augmented reality app, Adobe Aero, join in on Wednesday. That will be absolutely amazing. And then Friday, Rachel Presky and Hazel Mead will be here, and they're going to be looking at community photography and illustrating photos in the stream on Friday. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that in action, and seeing, you know, how we can bring other photos to life with some design. So so join us this week, Wednesday and Friday as well, for our streams. So there's about 20 minutes left, and this is just looking complete already, Monica. This is so good.
I will have to play around with colors a bit. Because for now, the way how I draw, it's like I very often just draw shapes, or like I follow the idea, and then I play around with composition and with colors. So some things they work better, some things work not that great, and this is why I have an iPad, so I can actually play around with all those different.
Do you find it's quicker on the iPad then compared to desktop before?
To be honest, it's like we were talking about it before. We live in places where the weather is not the best, so you kind of try to find the ways to use the opportunity to go out and basically to enjoy the sun. So iPad for me was perfect because most of the time I work on iPad, and when the image is more or less ready, I just send it to desktop and then I can prepare it to print. So it gives me this flexibility and possibility to be faster and to just to work, to have like maybe more time outside and like enjoy my time in the sun.
Nice.
As Scotland is not the sunniest place on earth. Okie doke. So she seems to be.
It's looking so good. And hey, what tips would you give? Because I know that this has always been a thing. Any tips on this would be great. When to stop? Because you could be tweaking this, playing with this image for a long time. So what tips would you give people on when is the right time to stop? And how do you put it down?
To be honest, when you start the drawing, and sometimes the more you draw, the more mistakes you can make. So for when you feel the moment is like, if you start adding things and then the piece looks worse and worse, it's moment like, okay, maybe I shouldn't have done that, or maybe this is perfect moment to stop drawing. But it's also sometimes you just feel it's right. I don't really know how to explain. I think it goes like, the more you draw, the more you know. How is it for you?
Well, for me, so I'm more video, as I said. So I'm here with my green screen. I had to record myself doing some presentations last week, and I tried to learn it all in one go and then just deliver it in a couple of takes, because the more you do it, the more mistakes you make, like you say, right? And so, oh my goodness, I got myself in a cycle of just not being able to get this one sentence out. It's hard. But yeah, you're right. Get it done. I think if you know, just learn it.
Yes.
Deliver it.
Yes. I think I'm gonna change her skin tone.
So good.
And color.
And so you set this in the size for Instagram, because this is where you said that you're going to be posting this. Do you find that this is where you post most of your work then, to Instagram and Behance? Always in this kind of format?
Yes, yes, like mostly I create my illustration in Instagram post format, and then it depends, because like sometimes I do have illustration when I was contacted by an art director and they would love to use it, but I have to prepare it to be like A4 or something. But like Illustrator is great in the way that we work with vectors, so you don't really lose resolution, and you don't lose the quality of the image. And you can just like extend it or like add some pieces to it. So this is why I really love and enjoy Illustrator, and sometimes it's extremely helpful.
Look at that. It's so good.
Okay. Maybe you can help me to give her a name.
Oh, I don't know. And let's ask everyone in the chat. So everybody that's watching today, please name this design.
Yeah,
this character.
Do you have an idea like what her name could be, or?
Sandrine has a question for you. Do you ever use any texture in Illustrator?
Not really, to be honest. I try to work with texture, but I kind of really like this geometric view and this those bold colors. I love texture on other people's pieces, but not on mine. I'm so sorry, but I did try, and I prefer doing it kind of my way. So I think it's another part of your style. I want my works to be consistent.
Yeah. So we've got some suggestions for you.
Yeah.
Tim has suggested Untitled 28. Stephen has suggested Agnes, which I think is Scottish. Gareth, this is genius. Victoria.
Oh, good one.
So what you did there, Gareth. Very good. And Sandrine says she looks like a bit of a flamenco dancer. So Rosalia.
Ooh, Rosalia. Nice.
I like that. Yeah, she does look great. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Okay, so Victoria or Rosalia or Untitled?
I think Victoria is probably the funniest name that we've been given for an image. Genius. Very good with the puns, is Gareth.
That's very helpful. Thank you. Who should I credit for the name?
Gareth. Gareth,
Okay.
thanks.
Thank you so much, Gareth. Perfect.
So good.
That sounds amazing.
He says, I'm here all week. So good.
So you have always like lots of fun during those sessions, right?
We do. We really do, you know. And I always say, you know, love the community that we have on Adobe Live. We've had streams where we've cried laughing. We've absolutely. We did like a yearly stream. It's like a yearly thing we did at the end of the year. It was like Christmas time, and we revisited a lot of the streams over the year. And Tim had put together these kind of compilation videos of our funniest moments, and oh my goodness, we all had such a laugh. It was very funny.
Have you had any like really strange situation, or are we talking, as we were talking before we went live, have you had like any bizarre situation that you mentioned that your dog was barking or something else was going on?
Oh yes, we definitely have. I mean, I know that there have been times where the screen is frozen or we've lost somebody due to Wi-Fi, you know, connectivity. I've had Elvis barking and you know, coming through in the stream. Yeah, there's been lots of funny things going on behind the scenes. But yeah, it's bound to happen, right? We're all at home.
Yes.
So, and you were mentioning, Monica, you know, about your cat that likes to sit on your keyboard.
Yeah, so this is what he did like very often. He would be like, for some reason, cats are like, I don't know, creatures from different dimension, I would say, that he would sit on my keyboard, and it was super annoying because you're working on something and all of a sudden he sits on your keyboard and everything is lost because he started like typing something or doing something else. So once I just like put him down and I was like, no more sitting on my keyboards. And later on I left and came back and he was sitting on my screen instead. So I was like, oh.
Yeah. You can't with these pets. It's just they want attention, don't they? Look at this. This is so good. You can tell, as we said, you know, that this is your design. Like this is, you know, your style through and through. It is good. Oh, Sandrine says there are specialized cat-proof KB protectors that you can buy.
Okay, I didn't know. Oh, this sounds perfect.
I did not know that. It's a thing, apparently. Yes, I don't have a cat, but obviously jumping around. How funny. But yes, they do love a keyboard. Cat sits where it's warm. That's what I said, Sandrine. That's exactly what I said earlier. Yes. Oh, this looks so good. So you go.
Another thing that I like to use in Illustrator, there is something like a view mode. So I don't know if you use it or not. So the view mode allows you to see like outlines or like the whole preview, so like colors and shapes. So I very often use it just to check if my lines are correct or if I'm missing something or if something is not aligned, because sometimes I like colors to be overlapping, or like when one starts, another when one ends, another starts. So I'm just kind of playing around with that.
That's cool. I don't think I've seen that before.
I think we have a small delay, so you should see it in a bit. Because like sometimes when you're drawing, you see that some parts are like some colors are sticking out from the background, so it's cool always to check.
Nice.
Okay, I feel that we're missing something in this drawing.
Sandrine's now kindly posted the link in the chat for anybody that needs to protect their laptop. Thanks, Sandrine.
this is a perfect place. Like if you have an issue with something, like it's not only about drawing and like creativity, but also like
Everything.
Okay.
It's a service.
Amazing, amazing, absolutely.
It is
amazing.
good. It definitely is. This is so good. So, are you working on any big projects right now? Then, are there things that are taking up a lot of your time? Exciting projects you're working on right now?
Yes, now I've been working on really interesting projects. Is for one of like really cool agencies in Los Angeles.
Cool. Oh, I think you might be frozen there for a minute. You're definitely frozen for me. Oh no. Was Monica frozen for everybody? Or is it just me? I think it might be me. Hey, everybody. It looks like we've lost Monica today. It looks like a bandwidth or Wi-Fi issue. But please join us on Wednesday for the next stream where we're looking at Adobe Aero. And oh, she's back. Monica, are you back?
Yeah, apologies. My laptop died all of a sudden, and I tried to fix it.
No worries at all. Well, I was just saying to everybody that we're going to go, and for everyone to join us on Wednesday. Thank you, Monica, for everything you did today. Your illustration's amazing. Are you going to share it on Instagram for us all to see?
Yes, definitely. Apologies, and if you have like any questions or anything, please feel free to reach out. And thank you for having me. And I'm so sorry, technical issues.
Don't worry, it goes with the territory these days. Honestly, so many Wi-Fi issues and all kinds of things, but it's all good. So everybody come see us on Wednesday. We'll look out for your image on Instagram. We'll continue the chat in Discord, and we'll see you then. All right, bye everyone.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Have a cool day.
major run. Maraschino cherries, major run. No one had a run like Rhymes. No one.